Well, the clock is ticking towards what President Trump has called America's Liberation Day. He says he will unveil a massive slate of import taxes on all countries on Wednesday, though he's also promised to be kind. Tariffs are taxes paid by US importers on foreign purchased goods. Details are still limited on the range of the tariffs, but there is growing unease about what this tariff war will mean for the global economy. The UK government has been trying to negotiate a last-minute trade deal to exempt British goods, but confirmed yesterday it does expect the UK will be hit when the import taxes are introduced. President Trump has been speaking to the media in the Oval Office, where he said he expects his tariffs to give the US economy a major boost.
I think that we're going to be at $5 trillion of investment. I think you're going to have investments very shortly. We're already 3.5, and we have commitments, verbal commitments for a lot more. And numbers like that have never been done in this country. And it's going to get harder. This is in 2 months. It's really less than 2 months, because since we've really gone out with it.
Let's speak now to Maria de Merzies, Chief Economist at the Conference Board of Europe. Maria, good to have you with us. Just listening to President Trump there, I wonder if you agree, if we could just look at the US first. Do you think it's going to be a major boost to the US economy, these tariffs?
It's unlikely there will be a boost. I mean, the first thing will be trade will necessarily reduce, and that will have an impact on the US economy. We're already seeing revisions in growth downwards, upward revisions for inflation, and of course the stock markets that are extremely volatile. Nothing of that is good for the US economy. But next to that, there's other measures that follow the tariffs, and that is corporate taxes reducing, trying to attract investments back to the US, either from American economies that operate elsewhere or from global economies. And actually, there is some evidence of that some companies might be coming back to the US that will boost investment. Whether the net effect is positive remains to be seen, but I am not hopeful.
Higher inflation, greater recession risks, that's what people are saying for the US. And obviously, there's going to be a knock-on effect for the global economy as well. Tell us what your thoughts are on what this could mean for the rest of the world.
Well, again, it will have global effects everywhere, especially for jurisdictions like the EU, where I live, which is a big exporting region. We rely a lot on exports, and therefore exports to the US will necessarily suffer. The EU exports a lot to the US, both in goods and services. That, of course, will take a hit. But I think global trade will take a hit. I think there will be a reduction in trade that we haven't seen in a long time, except the pandemic era. And on top of that, of course, we are going to have a high increase in prices, and the consumer will see greater inflation on goods and services that they buy on a daily basis. And of course, much less choice. So the consumer will definitely worse off.
Maria, what about the stock markets around the world? Many are saying that the hit from the tariffs could still be coming. We haven't seen the worst of it yet.
No, we haven't. Till we have some certainty in terms of what goes on in tariffs, there will be volatility. Now, it's interesting to say also that if we do have some certainty of what tariffs will be, that will be, of course, bad for the economy, but at least we have some certainty of what that is. And you see that, we hear it from businesses, that they want some certainty so that they can prepare. So some news, even if they are bad news, it's important to reduce that volatility.
And tell us a bit more about those US businesses that are starting to reshore in response to this threat of tariffs. We don't know yet what impact that will have, but how long does it normally take for a business to do that?
It depends. Big manufacturers, of course, find it difficult to relocate unless they have already installations in the US. But we have heard from NVIDIA, the big semiconductor company, that they will reshore. They will bring some of their operations in China back into the US with huge investments for the next 4 years in the US, which is effectively what President Trump wants. He wants manufacturing back in the US. And we've also heard Apple relocating back, bringing some of the Asian production back to the US in fear of tariffs hitting their Chinese operations. So there is some movement, which is also being helped by corporate taxation reducing, which is one of the big campaign points that President Trump used. So it's not just about tariffs. It's also about creating a much more friendly environment conducive to businesses in the US.
It's so interesting to get your thoughts. Maria, thank you very much.